Yeah, when we're fighting against Cabal, this is what we need to avoid. First and foremost. If we're letting him do this, then we are not good at the matchup, right? We have to stop it. Of course, sometimes that's easy said than done. The simplest solution is to do that. And against Cabals who are, you know, pretty lazy, you could say, this works just fine. Especially with Jade, she has a very good uppercut. Maybe the best in the game. Definitely like top 3. Scarlet's is very good too. I'm sure some characters have good ones. Liu Kang's looks pretty good. I actually don't know because MK players very rarely use this move. They almost never use the one universal normal that every character has that's designed to be a good anti-air, and then they complain that the anti-airs in this game are bad. There's like a move in this game that every single character has that has been designed as an anti-air for like 20 years. And they never use it, and then they're like, man, this game has no anti-airs. You just get jumped in on all day and there's nothing I can do about it. Oh yeah, Baraka's is pretty good, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they're not all amazing, but, you know, they don't even try, right? They try to anti-air with like this, right? Because they want more damage. They're never satisfied with just the uppercut. They always want to do like this, and then like, oh, I'm gonna run forward, I'm gonna combo, you know, and I'm gonna get a full combo for like 30%. And then when it doesn't work because they're trying to anti-air with their fingernail, you know, then they complain. I don't know. I guess it did not take me long today to start complaining about the NRS community. But, I mean, you guys know how I feel. I had a moment before I started streaming today where I was legitimately like, is it even worth it, man? Like, is it even worth playing this game? And then I was like, no, it's just because I've been online for like a year. Once I go to offline tournaments, it'll be fine. Offline, it'll be much more manageable. It's just online that makes it seem worse than it is, right? But for a second, I was really like, I mean, Guilty Gear's about to come out. I've already got Soul Calibur. I could walk away right now. Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some players who are using characters that have like amazing down 2, and they're like, no anti-airs in this game. Even if your down 2 isn't good, a game doesn't have 100% foolproof anti-airs, and that's fine. Like that's okay. It's not bad game design if you don't have one button that flawlessly anti-airs every single jump in every single situation, right? I mean, sometimes you do, like this. It's fine if you don't. Like, there are tons and tons of fighting games where that is the case. And in fact, I would say it's more common that is the case than that isn't the case, you know? It's actually quite rare to have a fighting game where anti-airs are foolproof. Or that, you know, like one anti-air works against every jump in. The thing is just that you need your jump-ins to be varied to match the variety of your anti-air, right? Like, for instance, here, let me give an example. Let's pick who's like the usual suspect. Who's a character that people are like, I can't anti-air this person? Shang Tsung? Yeah, Shang Tsung's another one. Let's do Shang Tsung, yeah. He's a good example. This. Now, setting aside that this obviously works just fine, and even though I'm using Jade, you know that every single character in the game would down 2 this easy, right? Of course, this is not what people are complaining about, right? When people complain about Shang Tsung's jump in, what they're talking about is when he does like this, right? And this will kick you. You can still anti-air, but you have to be very fast, right? And if you mash down 2 here, you will often get kicked. However, if he does it this early, you can duck it, right? Now you might say, well, Twyx. that's such a huge risk, because if you delay it a little bit, then you just kicked in the head. Very true. But also, check this out. Look at his frame advantage here if he does it way up high. He's -6. You can just hit him, you know? Like, you can just take your turn when he lands. He's not plus at all. And this is true of pretty much every jump kick in the game. If the character does their jump kick super early in their jump animation, such that your anti-airs just aren't fast enough, it's pretty much guaranteed that they will not be plus when they land. And you have plenty of time to react to where they've jump kicked. Like, you want to block this, right? They've basically just given you a free turn in neutral, right? And you might say, well, if you're just blocking, then maybe they'll do this, and then they are plus, right? He's +5 here. To which I respond, of course, yes. That's the mix-up, right? This is reactable with an uppercut. Even a mediocre uppercut, right? You don't need to be Jade's uppercut here to react to this. That's the mix-up, you know? That's what fighting games are. Fighting games are about mix-ups, mind games, conditioning, whatever you want to call it. You don't always have a perfect solution to every problem. Sometimes you have to make a read. It's not like this is a colossal, you know, game-ending mix-up. If you block this, he's plus and maybe gets to pressure you. But it's not like this is like an overhead low where if you guess wrong, you take a ton of damage. And if you are right, then either you get your turn from him doing the early one, or just hit him with the anti. You know? It's not a design flaw that anti-airs are not perfect, you know? It's maybe a decision that you don't agree with, not like a bad thing, objectively speaking, right? It's just how the game works. And by the way, I don't think people complained about this in previous NRS games, but I, from what I have seen, can only conclude the jump-ins were way better in all of those games, right? I've been watching these people play MKX lately on their streams and stuff, and neutral jump punch is like, there is nothing that even compares to the ridiculous nonsense that you can come out of a jump with in this game, you know? In fact, it seems to me like, if anything, anti-airs are significantly more reliable in MK11 compared to what they were in previous NRS games. As far as I can tell. I mean, I didn't play them, so I don't know for sure. But from watching, it seems to me like this was quite rare in Injustice. And in fact, or in Injustice 2 MK, so on. And in fact, I don't think I can think of a single instance where I saw someone uppercut someone out of the air like this. I don't know, man. I guess it just frustrates me. It frustrates me because it's like they're not even looking at the game, you know? Like, if people don't like the game, I don't really care. But it's annoying when they don't like a game that they made up in their head. Right? I guess I shouldn't be annoyed by it, and it's still, like, you know, something that I care about more than I should. That's probably true. But when people complain about something that they just invented in their brain, that has no bearing on reality, then it does kind of annoy. Yeah, I think MK11 in many ways is a response to previous NRS games, right? People, like, the biggest grievance that people had with MKX was ridiculous mix-ups and weak neutral, right? Lack of footsies. Whether or not that's actually true, of course, is a different matter, but that's what people complained about the most. I remember that. And biggest grievance that people had with Injustice 2 was spam, right? Zoning being overwhelming and every competitive match evolving into throwing fireballs and shooting guns from full screen. Again, that is, you know, may or may not have been accurate, but that's what people complained about, right? So here we have MK11, a game that is, in most cases, with a few characters accepted, extremely footsie based, has very few real 50-50s. Only the bare minimum to make it a functional fighting game, right? I mean, if this game had mix-ups that were any weaker, it would be like unplayable, right? Like if it was any harder to mix people up outside of a few characters, then you would never hit anyone, you know? And zoning has been seriously diminished in effectiveness. Things like flawless blocking and also just zoning characters in general, pretty underwhelming most of the time. So this game was definitely built, it seems to me, as a response to previous NRS game complaints. And they don't like this one either! Right, yeah, I remember, you're right, that armor was something that people also did not like at all in this, or in previous games. Particularly in MKX, people did not like armor. And wouldn't you know it, this game, almost no armor. With the exception of Fatal Blows, which, surprise, will also hate. Although, to be fair, I think armor is not the reason why people hate Fatal Blows. I mean, that's how Street Fighter is too. You know, Street Fighter is exactly the same, right? The Street Fighter community dealing with the same thing when Street Fighter V came out, right? What did people complain about in Street Fighter 4? It was boring, too many timeouts, the execution is way too hard, and Street Fighter V was a game that is much more aggressive. Took out all the option selects that people hated in Street Fighter 4, you know? Back dash option select, throw option select, all gone in Street Fighter V. Execution was way easier. Once again, zoning made a lot worse, because like every character in the game had a anti-zoning button that like deleted projectiles. They had basically the exact same situation, right, where people complained about Street Fighter V for the opposite reasons that they complained about Street Fighter 4. It's just how it is, man. If you have something that a lot of people like, then or that a lot of people play, then you know, some people aren't gonna like it. It just seems to me like there's a suspicious amount of overlap, right? That's what it seems like to me. That's the only thing that makes me eerie, is that the people complaining about one thing quite similar to the people complaining about the opposite. But maybe that's just me making it. Maybe that's not actually true. I, for one, am someone who definitely would have complained about MKX's 50-50s and ups and no neutral, etc., etc. And I love this game. This game was made for me, you know?